A very good afternoon, dear students. I hope you all are safe at your place. The thought of the day is look in the mirror and that's your competitions. Generally, what we are doing that we are trying to be the better one comparison to some other persons. But what exactly the life is that try to do. You can say that try to improve something in yourself daily. Here, if you can improve a simple thing in yourself daily, then it is a good way to achieve the something in life. Here, so try to be the competitor of yourself. Why? Because you can be the best competitor of you, not the other anyone, not the other any person. Yeah? So try to be the competitor of yourself, and you believe me that you will be the best competitor of yourself. I, Professor Sonal Agarwal, welcome you on the digital platform of Agarwal Vidya Vihar English Medium College. This is the lecture for the subject Indian Banking and Currency System Paper 5. What we did in the last lecture, I just want to brief out in short that in the last lecture we have started the topic that is the achievements of the nationalization of bank. That we have started with the second unit that is the nationalization of bank. In that unit we have discussed so many topics, and after that we have started with this one that what are the achievements of nationalization of banks. So nationalization means the conversion of private sector bank into the public sector bank. So what are the achievements of that public sector bank, you can see. In that we have discussed the starting 2 points here. Here you can see that total 11 points are there. So 11 sub points are there for the discussion. And in the last lecture we have discussed with the first and second point. The first one is the expansion and qualitative changes in bank advances, and the second one is advances to the priority sectors. These two subtopics we have covered in the last lecture. Now today we are going to continue with the third one, that what we did in the first topic, that expansion and the qualitative changes in bank advances. So here for the expansion, you have to explain about the quantitative changes in bank advances, that how the bank advances, the credit facility which is given by a bank were increased after the nationalization, or you can say over the period of time after nationalization. So here you have to rely on the details, that some of the details you have to give about the credit facilities. And the second level now the qualitative changes in bank advances. Here what you have to do, you have to explain about that how the qualitative changes may make in the bank advances. So here the best example is that the lending policies is changed by the bank. Here the banks are adopting the concept of the social banking. The banks are ready to provide the loan on the preferential basis, and we are ready to provide the loan in the vehicle section and for the priority sectors of the economy. So the development of the that sector is also possible, and ultimately the development of the economy will be the possible. So this all thing you have to explain in the qualitative changes of advances, or you can say the bank advances. So here whatever we did for the quantitative changes, you have to rely on data that the credit facility given by the banks is increased over the period of time. And for the qualitative changes, you have to rely on the some of the quality that include in the lending policies of the bank. So here the example you can give about the social banking or the lending for the priority sectors. Then we have discussed about the second point, that advance to the priority sector. Here we have discussed in very short about the priority sectors as the part of the qualitative changes. Now a special subtopic is there that the advance is given in the priority sector. So here you have to explain about some of the priority sectors. So here we have explained about these six priority sectors, that agricultural and allied activity. So the direct finance is also given in this field, and the indirect finance is also given for allied activities or for the activities which are indirectly related with the agricultural. Then the second, small scale industries. Here again the direct finance is also given, indirect finance is also given to the small scale industries which are engaged in the process of manufacturing, processing and preservation of goods. Then we have discussed about the small business and service enterprises. If you are in the category of this person, then of course the lending facility will be given by banks to you. Then the microcredit we discussed, and educational loan we discussed. And in these two topics we have discussed about the limit, that what is the limit for the lending facility given by the bank in these two sectors. Now today we are going to start with the third, that is the increasing number of bank branches. This is the third sub point of your topic, that achievements of the nationalization bank. So here, increase in number of the bank branches. This is it is very self-understood topic that after the nationalization, there is a phenomenal increase in the number of the bank offices, or you can say the bank branches. So here, for this purpose, again you have to rely on data. How can you prove that the number of banks and number of bank branches were increased after nationalization? So of course, you have to take the help of the data. So here example is given that the total number of bank offices, which was 8262 at the end of the June 1969, were increased to 1,18,385 at the end of June 2014. So you can see that how the phenomenal increase were there in the number of the bank branches, and how many number of bank branches were increased after the nationalization of the banks. And this data again, you can say it is about 14 times of the previous one. Yeah? So you can say the 14 times the bank branches increased after the you can say in the post nationalization period. This is the 14 times comparison to the pre-nationalization period. Here the data is given, you can say overall increase in the number of the bank. Now focus on the rural areas or unbanked areas. So here the new offices opened after the nationalization of period. So more than 60% of the offices or the new branches have been opened in the unbanked sector. What do you mean by unbanked? Where the banking facilities are not available, particularly in the rural areas. So these data are focused on the overall increase in number of banks. And the second slide focus on the you can see the data which focus on the number of bank increases or the number of bank branches increased on the unbanked areas. In the unbanked areas, so it is 60, out of the total increase in the bank branches, 60% of the bank branches increase, or you can say open only and only in the unbanked areas, especially the rural areas. Here again the example is given that in 1969, the number of the rural branches of the bank was just 1860, which was formed about 22% of the total branches. So suppose in 1969, 100 branches are there. So out of 100, only 22 branches are there, which was situated in the rural areas. But in the year of 2014, the percentage data increased to 34.8%. Means out of 100, 34.8% of the banks were opened or situated in the rural areas. So you can say there is a phenomenal increase in the total number of banks also. Here you can see that the total number of banks increased. With the increase of total number of banks, the banks of the rural areas or the unbanked areas is also increased. So here you have to focus on these two aspects. Here, I hope it is clear. Don't focus on the total quantum of the bank or the bank branches. With the total quantum, you have to explain about this also, that out of the total quantum of the banks increased after the post-nationalization period, or in the post-nationalization period, there is an increase in the bank offices, or they are more and more focusing on the unbanked areas also. Why? Because in the last topic we have discussed that they are adopting the concept of the social banking, and to fulfill the objective of the social banking, they have started opening the new branches in the unbanked areas, and they try to connect more and more people with the banking services or banking facilities. So because of this reason, ultimately the number of the bank branches were opened in the rural areas were increased after the post-nationalization period. And the next topic is about the deposit mobilizations. Yeah. What do you mean by this topic? That there has been a substantial increase in the rate of deposit mobilization in the post-nationalization period. Why? Because of the expansion of the network of branches. As we just discussed, that the number of bank branches increased in post-nationalization period, and with this also they increased in rural areas also. Clear number of bank branches, new bank or new branches were started functioning in the rural areas or unbanked areas especially. So now more and more persons are able to connect with the banking facilities. Here, more and more areas are connected with the banking facilities. So ultimately, the number of the banks were increased. With this effect, the number of the customer of the bank, or the number of person who are operating the banking facilities, who are using the banking facilities, is also increased. So ultimately, we can say that if a number of the bank increased, number of the bank branches increased, number of the customer increased, so ultimately the deposit which in the hand of the bank will going to be increased. And with this, the second reason of the deposit mobilization is about the various types of intensives that given by the public sector bank to increase the number of the customer or to retain the customer. Why these types of intensive incentives become the essential? Why? Because as we just discussed that more and more number of banks increased in the market, so ultimately the competition level is increased. So if now the bank or the bank branches wants to retain the customer and wants to attract the new customer, so ultimately they have to give the incentives to the customer. So these two are the main reasons to increase the deposit mobilization rate after the nationalization period. Yeah, again I am repeating the reason. First reason is that the increase in number of banks and the increase in number of bank branches. As the banks increase and the bank branches increase, ultimately, and they are increasing, especially in the unbanked areas, so they are trying to connect more and more people with the banking facility. So ultimately, the persons who are using the banking facility will increase, and with this, the ultimately the deposit in the hand of the banker will be increased. And the second reason is that they are trying to attract the customer, they are trying to retain the customer with the help of various types of incentives. Why? Because they want to sustain the business. They want to pop up with the elements of the competition in the markets. As the number of the bank increase, the competition level is also increased. So they are trying to give more and more incentive to the customers to increase the savings out of the public. So this is the reason that the deposit mobilization rate increased after the nationalization period. Again, how can you say that you have to take the help of the data? As I already said in the starting of the topic, that in this topic, achievements of the bank nationalization after the achievements of the nationalization bank. In this topic, you have to learn some of the details. Here, why? Because you can prove that whatever you are saying or whatever you are explaining, that must be true, or you can say must be. You can make it true with the help of data only. Yeah, but the last topic, that is the objectives of nationalization. In that topic, the data are not so much important, but here the achievements topic is there, and in the achievements, of course, the data are important, and you have to learn some of the details. So start learning also. So the example is given that the aggregate bank deposit, which were just 4,645 crores in the June 1969, is increased to about 88 lakh 17,150 crores at the end of the March 2015. So you can say that out of the time deposit, 90 percentage were time deposit and the demand deposit. This topic we have discussed in the first one, that the total number of deposits will increase, and with this total deposit, the composition of the deposit is also changed. Here total number of deposit increase. How can you say? You can say with the help of the data that in 1969 it is just 4645, and in 2015 it is 88 lakh 100,150 crores. So ultimately you can say that the total deposits with the hand of the banker is increased. And the second is that the composition of deposit is also changed. How it is changed? But now the persons are focusing on the time deposit more comparison to the demand deposit. Here, out of the time deposit accounted for about 90 percentage, and the demand deposit about 10 percentage of the total deposit. So now the people are focusing more and more on the time deposit rather than the demand deposit. But before the nationalization of the bank, they are focusing more on the demand deposit, and they are focusing less on the time deposit. So here you can say that the first thing, the total deposit increased, and the second thing, that composition of the deposit is also changed after the nationalization period. The next topic is about the diversification in the banking operations. Yeah, after the nationalization period, there has been a diversification, or you can say the various types of functions performed by the bank which are not performed before the nationalization. Why? As I already discussed, that the competition increased in the market. Why? Because more and more number of banks and more number of branches increased in the market. So if they want to sustain in the market, banking market, so here they have to give the additional functions to the customer to increase the customer satisfaction level. Then only they are able to survive in the market, and they are able to retain the customer in their bank or bank branch. Otherwise, the customer will switch over to the next bank or the next branch who are giving the better facility comparison to the previous one. So ultimately, if now the bank wants to sustain the customer, so they have to diversify the banking operation. Not they, if any bank is performing just the traditional functions, so of course the customer is not want to continue the account in that type of bank. So here a number of banks has set up The merchant banking devices divisions, and they are doing the functions of underwriting. Especially they are doing the underwriting facility for the preference shares and debentures. Why? Because they don't want to be the owner of any company. If they are doing the underwriting of equity shares, ultimately they will become the owner, and they don't want to become the owner. They just want to earn the income of underwriting. So they are focusing of underwriting more of the preference shares and debenture. They are not for, doing the underwriting of the equity share. And the second reason of that first reason is they don't want to be the owner, and the second reason is that if they are doing the underwriting facility for the equity shares, so the risk factor is high in the underwriting of equity shares comparison to the underwriting of preference shares and debentures. So this is the reason that banks are focusing on the underwriting facilities of the preference shares and debentures, and they have started the merchant banking division that we discussed in the chapter number one, that they are performing the merchant banking services also. That is, suppose for any kind of business, if you want any kind of help here, so the bank's person, expert person is there who is ready to help you. If you want to prepare the project reports, if you want to select the site for your new project, if you want to select the location of your business, if you want to just financial help, if you want some technical person in your business, so any type of help you require, so the merchant banking division is there. They are ready to provide you the help, but not free of the cost. Of course, they are going to charge you. And the many banks have set up their own subsidiary companies to strengthen the organization and the managerial capabilities. Of course, yes, you have now focus on the market that in almost all the banks are having their subsidiaries companies. There is different, no, it is not branches, it is companies. Just for example, that you may familiar with SBI Capital Market Limited, which is formed by the State Bank of India. You have heard about the Can Bank Financial Service Limited set up by the Canara Bank. Of course, you may familiar with the BOB Capital Market Limited, which is promoted by Bank of Baroda, and PNB Security Limited, which is promoted by the Punjab National Bank. So here you can see that the separate subsidiary companies started by the banks. Why? Because they, if they earn more profit, if this type of company is succeed in the market, so ultimately the organizational and the managerial capability of that particular bank is going to be increased, and they offer more and more specialized services and the professional expertise to the customer, so the customer level satisfaction level is going to be increased, and ultimately the profit via direct way or via indirect way of the bank is going to be increased. So now they are diversifying their banking operations. So first diversification is about the merchant banking services. Second topic we discussed about they started their own subsidiary companies. The next is about the example there that they have set up the National Housing Bank, and this bank is a commercial bank functioning especially for the lending facility of the housing sectors. Here they are providing the lending facility directly also and indirectly also in the housing sector. And this bank were started in the year of 1988. They give refinance from the national housing banks for the direct lending or for the housing, or also for the indirect lending. Clear? What do you mean by direct lending and indirect lending? Direct lending means they are doing the financial help, or indirect lending means they are not doing the financial help, but they are suppose they are increasing the term period, clear, for the repayment. They are changing the rate of interest. So these types of indirect facilities also given by the National Housing Bank in the field of housing sector. And they have floated the mutual funds, like you may have heard about the State Bank of India mutual fund, India Bank mutual fund. So they have started their own mutual funds also. So they can, if the customer wants to invest in the capital market, so now the banks which are the part of the money market, so indirectly they have become the part of the capital market also. So because they want to diversify their functions, so ultimately if the customer want any type of services, so they will be in the bank also, and they will be in the bank branch also. All the banking facilities, all the other facilities they will provided in the banks. So no need to switch the banks, no need to take the help of any other institutions. Banks are ready to provide any types of services to the customer. The next is, in recent year, a number of the banks has introduced the stock invest scheme and the credit card scheme. You may not aware about the stock invest scheme, but of course you are aware about the credit card scheme. Here, you can say that now the banks are the credit card seller. Here, everywhere you find the credit card facilities. If your credit reputation is okay in a bank. the credit score. So ultimately, you are easily available. Credit cards are easily available for you. But before sometimes, before 10 to 15 years, credit cards are not easily available in all the banks. But now the banks are ready to sell the credit card. Even you are not having the account also, then also they are ready to serve you the credit cards. Why? Suppose if you are a professional person, if suppose if you are in the reputed field like doctors or like you are professor, so the credit card can be easily available even you are not having any account. So if suppose you are not having any account with the bank, so of course your financial reputation is not aware about bank is not aware about your financial reputation, but on the basis of your occupation the banks are ready to provide you the credit card scheme. So many types of scheme are started by the banks to provide the credit card facility to the customer. And they have set up the money market mutual funds also. You may heard about the money market mutual fund. Ad is also there on the television about the money market mutual fund. So yeah, these all are the facilities were started by the banks. And the last example is the IRDA, the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, which was started in the year of 1999, has opened the way for the private sector entry. Now you are familiar that the banks are also providing the insurance policies. Their banks are also providing some of the insurance products. Before sometimes it is available only and only in the insurance business. Now the banks are also free to enter into the insurance business. Banks have started their own insurance companies also. So if any type of customer want any insurance facility, then also they have to contact. They can take the facility of the bank. They don't need to contact the insurance company. So now all the facilities are started providing with the bank. So what the person can do if the person wants any type of services, so the banks are ready to provide the services. So these all are the different functions that are provided by the banks, which are far different than the traditional functions of the banks. So that's why you can say there is a diversification in the banking operations of the bank. Yeah. The next topic is about the innovative banking. Yeah, this topic also needs some of the time. The do one thing we are going to start with the topic that innovative banking in the next lecture. Why? Because from the examination point of view, this topic is IMP innovative banking. Sometimes they are going to ask you the this topic as a short note or as a 7 marks separately. Clear? So innovative banking it requires I think 5 to 10 minutes to explain in detail, and you have to understood this topic in a better way. Again, why? Because I am repeating again that this topic is IMP from the examination point of view. We are going to ask for this innovative banking sometimes as a 2 marks definition or sometimes as a short note or 7 marks question. So that's why we are going to continue this topic in the next lecture. Till then, try to make the three topics that we discussed in the today's lecture. Yeah, the two topics we have discussed in the last lecture. This question is very IMP. You can see on the screen that achievements of nationalization of banks is asked so many times in the examination. That's why I am taking more time to explain this topic. Here, this topic is very IMP from the examination point of view. So in the last lecture, we have discussed the first and second point, and in today's lecture, we have discussed the third, fourth, and the fifth point. From the sixth point, that is the innovative banking, we are going to start with the next lecture. So what we did in the today's lecture, I just want to brief out that first and the second point we have discussed in the last lecture, and in today's lecture we have explained about the increase in number of bank branches. In this topic, what you have to explain? You have to explain two things. First thing, the total increase in the number of bank branches, and the second thing, that increase in the number of bank branches, especially in the unbanked areas or especially in the rural areas. Here, these 2 points you have to cover in the explanation of the increase in number of bank branches. Again, for you, that first point is increase in the total number of bank branches, and the second point is increase in the number of bank branches at the unbanked areas, or you can say at the rural areas. These 2 points you have to explain here with the help of the data. So first point, explain the first point, then give the example of data, and then write the second point and give the example of data. Then the fourth point we have covered about the deposit mobilization. That number of the here you have first thing we have discussed the reason that why the deposit mobilization is the rate of deposit mobilization is increased in post nationalization period. So the two reasons we have discussed here. The first reason is due to the expansion of the network of branches, and the second reason is about the various types of incentives that is given by the banks to retain the customer. After giving the reason, we have given the example. Which example? So here, each example covers 2 points. Which point? The first point is the total increase in the deposit And the second point is the changes in composition of deposits. Again, I am repeating, this example covers two things. First thing is increase in total deposit, and the second is changes in the composition of deposits. So this example here you have to give. And after that, we have discussed the fifth point, that is the diversification in banking operation. In that, what you have to explain, you have to give the example of various types of other functions performed by a bank, which are not the part of the banking functions according to the Banking Regulation Act. Even though banks are performing these functions for two reasons, because of the competition and the to earn the more profit. Clear? Because of the competition, if they want to retain the customer, to these types of functions become the necessity of the time. And the second thing, ultimately, they want to earn the more and more profit. So here we have discussed about the list of example. First, we have discussed about the merchant banking services. Second, we have discussed about that the banks have started their own subsidiary companies. Here we have discussed about the examples of the some of the subsidiaries companies started by the banks. After that, we have given the example of the National Housing Bank that started with the objective of lending facility, especially in the housing sector, and that we have started about now the banks are also providing the mutual fund schemes. Then we discussed about the stock investment scheme and the credit card scheme and the money market mutual fund. These all are the example of other or functions performed by the banks. And lastly, we have discussed about the IDA that is started now. The banks are free to enter in the insurance market also. So these all are the examples of the diversification of banking functions we have discussed in the today's lecture. From the next lecture, we are going to start with the topic that is the innovative banking. Now, try to make the topic clear till fifth point, and sixth point will be continuing in the next lecture. Till then, stay home, stay safe, and start learning. Have a good day. Thank you.